What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction video with one of our favorites. Dr. S. Jaishankar takes George Soros to the cleaners for his remarks against India's government. And I got some context about this video, so I'll read that really quickly so you guys know I'm not going in blind. It says George Soros is a Western billionaire. Jesus. Widely known to fund anti-India activities within India. He doesn't like the strong Modi government and doesn't want India to rise. So I'm excited to see Jaishankar take him to the cleaners. Before we dive in, however, if you'd like to support the channel by becoming a member, please, there's a join button right down below. Just give it a little tap and you'll receive exclusive benefits that I know you guys will enjoy. Let's hear what he has to say.
Dr. Jaishankar, a lot of your commentary was focused on democracy and furthering democracy and different forms of democracy. There are occasional comments that we see on the undermining of democracy in India, most recently in the context of the BBC, and just yesterday at the Munich Security Conference, George Soros spoke on many issues, but specifically on open and closed societies, and called on institutional reform in India. How do you, as Foreign Minister of India, explain this when you're dealing with your Quad ministers in particular, as well as others?
Well, look, I actually made 2 points. One, how the world is changing. It is rebalancing. It is less Euro-Atlantic. I don't think everybody gets that. I think old habits die hard. I mean, very candidly, there are still people in the world who believe that their definition, their preferences, their views must override everything else. So, since you mentioned this specific example, I don't know how familiar people are with what was said at the Munich conference. Essentially, Mr. Soros said India is a democratic country, but he doesn't think the Prime Minister of India is a Democrat. By the way, a few years ago, in the same conference, I was there at that time, he actually accused us of planning to strip millions of Muslims of their citizenship, which of course didn't happen. It was a ridiculous suggestion.
Yeah.
But you have to understand what this actually means. I could take a view that the individual in question, Mr. Soros, is a old, rich, opinionated person sitting in New York who still thinks that his views should determine how the entire world works.
Crazy.
Now, if I could only stop at old, rich and opinionated, I would put it away. But he is old, rich, opinionated and dangerous, because what happens is when such people and such views and such organizations, they actually invest resources in shaping narratives. I spoke about globalization. Now, what globalization does is it actually creates a lot of the seamlessness of globalization, which creates all the opportunities, also allows narratives to be shaped, money to come in, foundations to go about their agenda. Now, in this particular case, I mean, it is very clear that he has very strong political preferences. He actually thinks that, I mean, doesn't matter that this is a country of 1.4 billion people. We're almost
largest democracy in the world. I just don't understand why. What George Soros? Is he anti-India in the first place? Why is he worried about what India's doing? Why does he not want India to rise? Like, you don't live in India. So what are you interfering and trying to give your opinion about them for? Why are you worried about them?
Whose voters decide how the country should run. He actually thinks, well, if, and again, I cite him as an extreme example, okay? But there are other, manifestations of this in different countries, where people like him think an election is good if the person we want to see wins.
Exactly.
If the election throws up
Yep.
a different outcome, then we actually will say it's a flawed democracy.
Yep.
And
Yep.
this to my and the beauty is all this is done under the pretense of advocacy of open society, of transparency, etc. So our generation, we have grown up with concepts like regime change, which influence operations. Now you can call it what you will. I mean, to me, this really looks the same, with a gloss of some kind of do-goodism on it. So for me, it's actually necessary today that we have today a serious conversation on democracy. When I look at my own democracy, I mean, I have today a voter turnout which is unprecedented, electoral outcomes which are decisive, electoral processes which are not questioned. We are not one of those countries where after the election somebody goes to arbitrate in court. Okay, we don't have any hanging chads either. And where you actually say, I will sit in judgment over the verdict of voters. Now, my sense of democracy is the voter is supposed to decide.
Yeah.
And it worries us. It worries us because, look, we are a country which went through colonialism. We know the dangers of what happens when there is outside interference in whatever guise in your politics. If you do this kind of scaremongering, like millions of people will be deprived of citizenship, it actually does real damage to our societal fabric.
Facts.
Because somebody out there believes you, and you don't leave it to accident, by the way, you back it up with an operation. So you create that kind of fear psychosis, and then you use that to validate your original judgment. So I do think today between, whose democracy, whose globalization, why, the transparency of how global processes work. These are real issues which need to be debated.
Facts. And I think I love what he said, because fear mongering is really is such a real thing, and it's such a problem where whether it be like on some kind of social media outlet, whatever it be on, somebody can just say this person did this or this person said this, and all of a sudden, right, there's people that believe them. They have not done any research for themselves. They don't care to do any research for themselves. Their research, their evidence is they said that. They didn't look at any other sides of the argument. They didn't look at any other. They said that, so it must be true. And then you get people that start to spread that, and other people start to listen to them, and they start to believe it. And fear mongering is just absolutely terrible. I mean, in a sense, it's kind of like what's going on in the UK right now, where you had the Southport stabbing. That was absolutely awful. And then people tried to make it out that the person who committed this was a Muslim boy that was an immigrant. And no, it was actually he was actually born and raised in the UK, and he was not Muslim. And so, but so many people had believed it already before doing any research. This is what they were told, and so now they believed it. And so then after time passed, when they come to find out it was lies, the damage was already done, and they were already on this crusade. And so now I know there's a lot more going on in the UK than just that, but I'm just using that as an example. So especially someone who's a billionaire, like, he has the kind of power to influence. The more money you have, the more influential you are. And so he has influential power, and that is dangerous when he's talking about millions of citizens losing their citizenship because they're Muslim, when that wasn't the case at all. And then I love how he also brought up the fact that he says he's a Democrat, but he only likes elections if they go his way. But if they don't go his way, then it's like, it's a flawed democracy. It wasn't right. It was cheated. And so Yeah, I'm not completely sure who George Soros is 100%, but I think Jaishankar is right in talking about him, and there's many people like him in the world, and so I just don't think, like I said, I don't know. I guess I'd have to learn more about him, but I don't think he has any right to do any kind of fear mongering amongst the Indian people, amongst any Muslims, and I hope nobody ever believed anything he had to say. And I absolutely love the fact that Jaishankar took him to the cleaners and told the world what kind of person he is. But that's all we have for this video. If you guys enjoyed that, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. It's your boy Neal, out.